in his Neptune, his belief systems, he has Neptune in his second house of money and resources in Taurus, squaring his sun, is both at 3 degrees. Sun's 319, Neptune's 303. So if the Neptune's going direct, it'll move right into it. But the Neptune doesn't go direct, goes up to 311. Doesn't quite come up exactly to the sun, 8 minutes away. That's close enough to be pretty close. So it's there. He's born with it. It's there. It builds up in intensity steady 85, 86. So 86 is 11, again 11, and it's still there intensely until it comes back to conjunct its own place in 1996, at which point he's 21. And it starts its own place. So then it's going back to energy. He's tapping into back energies before this, and as it starts moving back, it's slowly moving away from the squares of the sun. It'll never get out of it in his lifetime. He'll have that his whole life, the squares of the sun, but it's not, it reached its most critical mass in 85, 11, 12 years old. There was a fear of abandonment or some lies he caught between his sort of psychic mom and his disassociation to his mom, who was considered sort of having mental problems or stuff, and this is his belief system coming up around it, scoring his sun. How should I be? What should I be? How should I be? So I think these are part of the factors of what's stable from the Uranus to the moon to the sun. It's what's believable. And so he gets married, he sets everything up stable, but he maintains the marriage, but he has affairs while it's going on. So whether that's maintaining a marriage or not is another story. It's not the marriage you wish your daughter to be in. Okay. Now, okay, when we look at his Pluto, where's the Pluto? Pluto's in the third house. It's square his Saturn 1 degree. Confrontations with authority. He wants to be authority. Saturn in the first house. He sees as a father. He identifies as a father to authority, to being serious. And it's squared Pluto. So in the third house, who's the authority? Who knows what they're talking about? This is the battle between him and Freud. But it went forward to 2139, and then went retrograde in 97, 98. So as the Pluto was moving up to make this exact, it didn't quite, as Pluto was at 23, his thing got up to 23, his Pluto was at 23, 33, 31, his Saturn's at 2412. So it got up to 23, 38, 39. Just, like not that far away from it, but far enough away that it didn't hit it. So within the degree, but then it backed off. And so by the time, it means it will probably came back to its own, Pluto came back to its own place in 1930. Okay, well, 1930, he and Young, it's long since split up, but during the 20s, he had established a relationship with Richard Wilhelm, where he was into the synchronicity. He wrote the introduction to the I Ching. He was building up his psychotherapy, his practices. And in 1930, Richard Wilhelm died, but left him, may have given him that bit before, the Secret of the Golden Flower, which was the Chinese alchemy that really inspired him and affected his, I have to find these truths out. And then he spent the rest of his life working on the alchemy, developing it. But that's a basic one. So at this point, with the 1930s, that's an interesting time to see what was going on. I'm not sure, I can't remember at the moment. I mean, I know when he went through in the war years, he was working as a psychologist during the war years, so he had to overcome some truths of that, or some battles of that with people. But he did keep on. That's a Pluto, that's a strong point. And that's the Saturn, to respect, to authority. But the Neptune and the Moon, they were like different pockets of reality around him. Okay, and lastly, we're doing it, okay. I got Sigmund Freud. And Neptune and Uranus. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay. So it's interesting. Now let's take a look. He has a Sun and his Uranus in the 7th house, like Young did, but in Taurus instead of Leo. He had that there. So his Uranus, his Uranus is conjunct his Sun. Freud's wasn't. Young's wasn't. Freud's is, but 4 degrees. And Uranus is going direct. So Uranus is not going to come back to that Sun, but Mercury's at 27. It may get up to that, but it's in the 7th house through his lifetime. It may change to Gemini at some point. So we're just looking at the chart to see what to anticipate. Okay, so now here's this Uranus. And it goes forward. Does it hit anything? It squares the midheaven. Okay, so it moves up and squares midheaven at 23 degrees. Does it go all the way? It wouldn't square his, it won't square his, it won't go up to square to conjunct the Mercury. It doesn't. So it could be argued if you follow past his life, his ideas lit up more past his life than during it, but he still valid things. But it's interesting when you take an influential person and follow their progressions and transits, but follow the progressions, especially over the next 100 years after their life, to see how well they work. Another thing, we're not dealing with that now, just mention it. But that's the Uranus. It will square his midheaven in 1911. That's about the time that he was breaking up with Young. He had everything set up and it was breaking up with Young. His relay from the 7th house. He was coming up to Mercury, but he had his ideas and he thought it was all set up and they were going to break through, and he had his special student. It was all going to happen, and he came up and squared the midheaven, and they split up. So it broke up those options, and he just carried on his own after that. But it was a big shock to him. And if you want to go deeper into that, that was a Taurus. It was the midheaven. It's the midheaven. It squares the midheaven, but it was in the hexagram 26, 22. It was Taurus, Aquarius, Leo. So doubly fixed. And it shook up. The Uranus came along and shook up all that fixity. He thought everything was set up, and boom, suddenly it was not there. His friendship, his partnership, shaken up. Okay, with Neptune, look at the Neptunus chart. His Neptune is in the 4th house. His Neptune squares his moon. No, it squares his Saturn. 14. No, it squares the moon. That's right. It squares the moon, not the Saturn. So Freud had the square to the moon. Young had the square to the sun. Okay, now still he had his family. He had his large family. He was reliable to his family, relatively reliable. It's not that he didn't have his adventures, but your husband's dealing with neurotic relationships of the sexual frustrations of various women. Okay, that's his daily routine. It's going to cause some confusion. So anyways, the Neptune goes along. It's sextiles Uranus, nothing. By the time he split up at 4, it wasn't really, oh yeah, Mercury went retrograde in 2046 Pisces. So where are we here? Neptune went up to 2046, just went 1 degree forward, then went retrograde. Okay, so you can sort of see if Neptune's behind the sun. The sun's going to move forward, and as soon as it gets to about 120 degrees or up that way, then Neptune will go retrograde. So in this case, it went retrograde, so 1 degree forward, then starts moving back. So then it's moving back towards family things more. That would have, but it never comes back that far. It only went back to 20 degrees. Didn't get back to its own place even in his lifetime. Okay. So we look at the Pluto. His Pluto is 4 degrees of Taurus in the 6th house. So as a sign out of aspect to Venus, but it's 4 degrees not hitting anything. It's a 150-degree aspect to Mars, not really hitting anything. So you see as Pluto goes along, no, it didn't really hit anything in his life. When he had the breakup with Young, his Pluto was in the hexagram of opposition, Taurus, in Scorpio Pentan, it was in the hexagram of opposition, obstruction. And the third one is it was in the Wanderer, which was the traveling light. But these guys were traveling together, and then there was this obstructions and oppositions while they were traveling. So it's very interesting how these things, how the associations can play out as they're happening. Okay, that's it for the planets. That's it for the Pluto. Next week we're going to do the moon, the progressed moon. So we're going to watch the progression. It's the only planet or factor, not the only factor, but the only one of the planets or sun or moon that move around the whole chart, like Saturn. But we'll come to it. As it turns around the chart. So we're going to be watching the progressed moon next week and seeing what we can find from it. Okay. Thanks. Good night. Okay.